Welcome back to the Malted Man Cave. Dave Bruns is in his house again, down here in the pit of despair, down in the man cave. Tonight we are going to be doing a bourbon. We haven't done a bourbon in a while, so I thought it's time. And do we have a delicious bourbon for you? We're going to be doing.
Look how dark it is.
Yeah. Look, it's blackness, and then you realize it's an optical illusion. Well played, Buffalo Trace, with your marketing. It is not quite that dark. Anyways, Eagle Rare Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It is bottled at 45% ABV, aged for 10 years, which another thing, and this is tricky, it used to have Eagle Rare like 10 years.
Yeah.
You always know when they're getting ready to go to a non-age statement. Whenever they take it from the front, and then all of a sudden they put it on the back. And then they're like, oh, it's still 10 years, it's 10 years. And then like 2 years from now, all of a sudden that just vanishes and no one notices it. Except for us in the man cave. We're watching Buffalo Trace.
They're running out.
We're watching. But for now, this is still delicious juice. No color is added, and unfortunately it's chill filtered. A little bit about Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare, this is actually one of their luxury brands, along with Blanton's, Pappy, Van Winkle. Have you had any of that?
No.
I have yet to have some.
I think my neighbor down the street has some. My friend.
You need to hook a brother up, man.
Dude,
I'm gonna get to try Stag. I'm going on vacation. My cousin's bringing Stag and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Bottle of Wow for you Scotch Test Dummy fans. So
check this out. My brother, Chief Running Bull himself.
Running Bull.
He has never been a big drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, we're rubbing legs. He's me too. He's never been a big drinker, and he kind of started watching our channel or whatever. I'd start talking to him.
Did he sub to us?
He's going to. He doesn't have a YouTube or a Gmail account. But anyways, he asked me yesterday what a good and inexpensive bourbon to start drinking, and guess what I told him?
What? Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig small batch.
Small batch. Now, the barrel proof is not quite so cheap, and it's a lot harder to get.
Yeah, that was like $200.
Elijah Craig small batch.
Yeah.
We will preach that gospel. It is amazing.
I mean, it's for being $30.
So good.
Yeah.
Vanilla cheesecake.
Vanilla cheesecake. Just
all right.
Go ahead.
What was I gonna say?
You were talking about you ended with cold filter.
Oh, yep. Unfortunately, it's chill filtered.
Or chill.
Last but not least, fun fact for the night. Little thing about Buffalo Trace, which is the parent company for Eagle Rare. Did you know that actually Buffalo Trace was one of the few bourbon distilleries that was open during the Prohibition? I know you know this because I told him before the review.
I knew that. I knew it because I listened to a podcast about how you could prescribe it.
So there was doctors during the Prohibition, in the 1920s through like 1934, I think was when it ended. They were allowed to prescribe it actually on a script pad for
booze,
medicinal amount of getting crunked. So, touche.
Way to go, Buffalo Trace.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into some whiskey.
Let's do it.
You want to start us off this evening?
Oh, I need a pour.
Oh.
How about you start us off while I'm pouring it?
Okay. That is a nice big. That's probably a little too much.
A little bit too much. We should switch.
Hardline DK will yell at me. I'm ready to yell at you.
Oh no.
All right, so I get initially on the nose. You get Dr. Pepper and grape soda without the carbonation. Kind of like if it was like flat.
Yeah.
And you smelled it. Dr. Pepper and grape soda. Buttery popcorn, milk chocolate, and Old Spice deodorant. Did you ever use Old Spice deodorant when you were a kid?
Traditional scent?
Yeah. Obviously, you get the typical bourbon, vanilla, caramel. What are you doing? Black licorice. You did not put on your deodorant this evening.
Yes, I did.
So vanilla, caramel, black licorice, white pepper, and a little fennel or coriander. I'm not sure which one it is. Something, either fennel or coriander. We'll ask Ralphie. He's good with that. Of course, a little oakiness for being aged for 10 years. A little spearmint and rye. And one thing I've noticed, because I bought Bullet rye, and it's like hardcore wintergreen and spearmint. So apparently rye brings a lot of that. So a little bit of spearmint and rye. And obviously you get that delicious kind of sweet corn syrup in the background. And the last thing I put, after a little, I let this sit for like 20 minutes in the glass with a little tin on top of it. I was doing notes or watching a show and I came back to it. And it smelled like a frickin' candy store. Like it just like is magical. Like confectionery, old school, like old timer candy store. So good. I got a lot of notes.
Kind of reminds me of okay, so ready for me?
Yep.
Nose right off the bat for me was blueberries. It just reminded me of a big blueberry. Big one. Raw cane sugar, the packets that you can get. Sticking my nose in that or eating it as a kid, it reminds me of that. Little nuttiness. It reminded me of cashews. The way that a can of cashews smell like, and then
because it's
fair. The fair is coming up, and fairs are big here in the States, and a caramel apple from the fair, and then the last thing that it reminded me of, because there is that oakiness, that strong oakiness, it reminded me of when I was a kid. We had this old desk in the garage, and it was a nice desk, and that desk had a locked drawer, and I knew there was treasure in that desk. And I just had to be able to get through that lock. And how did I get through it? I was maybe 6.
Nice.
How do I get through that? I get my dad's power drill and start putting holes into the front, trying to drill out the lock. And
did your parents find out?
Oh, dude! So listen to this. This is how stupid of a kid I am. I thought the thing was garbage because it had been sitting in the. Let alone, it wasn't garbage. It was really nice, and I found out that there was nothing in the drawer, and I started.
After all that work.
Yeah. So then I just randomly started drilling holes into the top of the. I'm so sorry.
Just for craps and giggles.
Yeah, I felt so bad.
Just a little distraction.
Anyways.
A little ran upon you.
Yeah. Little ADD. But anyways, that oakiness, it just kind of reminded me.
From when you were drilling holes?
No, not from when I was, but that smell of that desk every time, especially when the garage was well dry. And
okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. It just reminded me of that desk.
Did you get anything else on the nose?
No.
All right, on the palate. I get kind of a sweet and sour arrival with kind of blast of cinnamon and that oakiness and delicious corn syrup. And it tastes like quality. I feel like sometimes it tastes different bourbons. It's almost like cheap corn syrup that would be used like in a candy, like cheap candy, but it just tastes like quality. So the corn syrup, again, the Dr. Pepper and grape soda.
Yeah.
Black licorice. And I actually put sesame seed chicken dinner.
Ooh.
Have you ever had sesame seed chicken?
Yeah.
Kind of like a, I don't even, sesame seed sauce, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a more like umami savory type note. For those of you who don't know, you get sweet, sour, I think bitter, salty, and umami. Am I missing a flavor?
I'm sure someone will tell us.
I think those are the 5 main tastes. Yeah. And in this one I get a lot, like almost all 5 for sure. And I really just get the sesame seed chicken like dinner. I had actually had it for lunch, and I did this notes and it like popped out. I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it was like power suggestion. Like I really feel like it's in here.
Yeah, it reminded you of it.
And last but not least, I have toffee, vanilla, and this time cherry corn syrup. So that's what I got.
talking about Elijah Craig small batch. When you drank that,
98 out of 100.
98. The show that we just watched.
Yes.
But it unlike the Elijah Craig, which didn't have much to do with it, like it was easy to figure out. With this, boom, as soon as you take a drink of it, it just has a presence to it. And the second note that I wrote was that it was filling. It felt like a meal in your mouth. It has some weight to it, to the taste of it. And then it reminded me of molasses, and specifically monkey bread, which is it's dough covered in brown sugar,
Totally.
white sugar, granulated sugar, and cinnamon, and you roll it in this powder, you put it into a big pan, and then you take more brown sugar, and what brown sugar is molasses mixed with sugar, and you take a cup of this brown sugar with a stick of butter, and you pour it all on the top of it.
That makes sense with what I put.
Yeah,
butter.
And when you were reading it off, it was right up that alley. And then the buttery was my next note. Like just by itself, it's a very, and it might have to do with that filling kind of taste to it.
Could you imagine how much more buttery if it wasn't chill filtered? If it had all the oils and the esters.
Yeah.
I always get on this tangent.
Bad form.
Many other reviewers get on this tangent as well, but and there's some studies out that say that it's not true, that they've done blind tastings and like experts can't even tell the difference. But I call shenanigans. I will hold firm to my ignorant belief. It makes a difference. I don't care what you say.
I believe you.
I don't believe the experiments were faulty.
And then the last thing was toasted bread. Just popping it right out of the toaster and taking a bite.
For sure. All right. On the finish, I get. It leaves with like a sweet, oaky dryness. It kind of dries at the end. It starts out sweet and kind of really starts to dry. Kind of like just chewed on some wood. And it leaves with almost cola, grape soda, cough syrup, and even like a slight soapy after. I know it sounds terrible, guys, but it's not bad at all. It just makes it even more complex. Just kind of like the whole waxy note in Kleinlish. You know, maybe it doesn't sound super good, but it's like amazing. It's kind of like soapy aftertaste, but it's not bad at all. It's really good. What do you think?
For me, long finish. Once again, filling. Very. It stays with you, or at least with me it did. And I felt like the heat stays with it as well. You're still feeling it, even now after that last sip. I'm still feeling a little heat on the end of the tongue.
Yeah, I forgot to put it's kind of more moderate to long actually.
Yeah. And then reminds me of there's these candies that they're caramel and they're like a white frosting, and they're like those little round anyways, it reminded me of like a caramel with white frosting or something like that on it.
Like the little.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The little swirl, and they're like soft.
Like cowtails almost consistency.
Yes.
It's not the cowtails like the long ones.
Yeah.
It's like the cowtails that you get there like.
And it's in a wrapper. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, actually, yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
It's a good note.
Anyways.
Came up with some really good notes, like the monkey bread. You're such.
Your tutelage.
The teacher.
Your tutelage.
The student has become the teacher. So good. All right, malted man cave marks. What'd you got?
Oh man, it's pretty good. You did mess me up because you told me what Ralphie scored it before I even drank it.
I did?
Yeah, you said Ralphie gave it a 90.
Screw Ralphie. Give the mark.
All right.
Forget what he gave.
It's
I love you,
pretty darn
Ralphie.
good.
If perchance
Not screw Ralphie.
if you ever watch my channel, which I doubt you ever will, but forget Ralphie.
I have nothing to do with him, Ralphie.
Unbiased. What do you want?
91.
91.
I see we differ.
I could give it 90 out of 100.
90.
And not because of Ralphie. I was going to give it 90. Either way.
Oh, nice.
Even before I watched
Oh,
the
my
movie.
bad. No,
All right.
No, it's pretty darn good.
All right.
Yeah.
So, question of the night.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now that we got the whiskey out of the way.
Yeah. We thought it would be informative and funny to talk about entering college, university. What our first goal in life was to be. What were we gonna be after school?
So, I'll start.
Okay.
I started at Cedarville.
And we haven't told each other these.
I was going to be a teacher.
What?
Following in my father
I
was.
remember that.
My father was a gym teacher, and so growing up, teachers, they're not rich, but they make enough money to be happy, and you don't have to stress, and you can go on vacation every once in a while. And I was like, that'd be cool. And I got to watch him, like literally, he threw balls out for a living and made like $80,000 a year. And then he got all these snow days. He got weekends, holidays, like spring break, and then like 3 months off every summer. I was like, Russ, you're a wise man. I'm going to be a gym teacher. But then I ended up going to be a high school teacher, but actually teach history because I love history. And then I switched, because we said we were going to say what we started off and then switch, right?
Yeah.
And then I switched to psychology. Goodness knows why. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I just was always interested in the mind. And I don't know. I've seen some people that mental illness has really affected. And I thought that going to be a counselor would just be a really good way to help people.
Yeah.
Also kind of incorporate my faith. If I was to like work at a church and like do couples counseling for people that are going through divorces or trying to save their marriage. So I did that. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice, because counseling, like, man, when I talk, sometimes I do like 10 1-hour sessions back to back to back. So like a lot of people, like, you can check your iPhone, check texts, get on Facebook at work. Like, no. I'm locked in, like, listening to what these people have to say. For the first time in almost 4 years, I almost fell asleep. I think it was the sesame seed chicken night. So all that rice was just in my belly, just starting to expand, and I was like, yeah.
It's never a good thing when
I was like, do you want some coffee? I'm like, I'm gonna make you some coffee. I'll be right back. Because like I was struggling. So started out as education and switched to psychology, and then ultimately I got a master's in counseling.
Ooh. Fancy pants. So when I first, do you remember what I was going to be?
Communications, I thought was what.
That's what I ended up changing it to. I went in as a English major, and
really?
I was going to change the world. I was writing a book. I have a half-finished book, dude.
What is it called?
Surviving 25. That was just the working title.
Had you started that before you went to college?
I started it in college.
I feel like at some point you told me you were writing a book.
Oh.
But I don't think I knew that you were. So going into college, you were an English major.
Yes, and so that's who and in fact, I stayed my.
We both know what we're really studying our freshman year. Having fun and ladies.
No, Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike. What was the other? And Moha. Medal of Honor.
That's right, Medal of Honor.
Lots of video games.
So, yeah, I thought I was going to change the world, write it. Man, dude, I've never told you this. Or maybe I have. I used to write poetry every night, and I didn't know it was every night. Oh, dude, I would send Hallie. Hallie's got boxes of
I knew
poetry.
You sent poetry to Hallie. I didn't know you did it all the time.
Yeah, she's got, oh man. I was like such a emotional.
You were just thrilled that you're getting let's be honest.
Anyways. Yeah, but anyways, so I was like, I thought I was gonna, and then I realized that it was a passion of mine, but it was not something that I wanted to follow.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyways, delicious.
Very good. I don't know. I feel like maybe this has gotten better because I was watching some old reviews, and people gave it good scores, but not like great. And I feel like most of the reviewers I've been watching lately have been giving it better scores. So I don't know if like the quality is improved, but whatever. This is my first bottle of it. It's delicious stuff. So go pick you up some. Just launch it from the Malted Man Cave.